Virtual Racing School was developed to provide support to the next generation of sim racers. No matter if you're a rookie or veteran or what car or track you'll be racing, our goal is to provide training every step of the way. We found that iRacing can be quite difficult without proper training. There needed to be a way to prepare for on-track racing. With VRS, you can literally learn from the best sim racers in the world, including 4-time NASCAR iRacing World Champion Ray Alfala.
And Ray Alfala is a 4-time champion of the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze iRacing Series.
3-time iRacing Grand Prix World Champion Martin Kroenke.
Martin Kroenke becomes a 3-time world champion.
Rallycross World Champion Mitchell de Jong.
Mitchell de Jong is now champion for the iRacing Rallycross World Championship Series.
And many other top sim racers. Data packs include everything you need to start learning. Our World Championship coaches create the data packs by setting a hot lap or a series of fast laps for you to compare, analyze, and replicate. Data packs also include a tutorial where the coach points out techniques they use to hit the fast lap. This gives you access to the latest driving techniques and setups before you even hit the track. Sign up for a free account and download the VRS telemetry logger. With this application running seamlessly in the background, your laps automatically start syncing to the VRS website. From there you can analyze and compare 2 laps of your choice, whether it's your data, the coaches, or your teammates. VRS will automatically target improvement opportunities so you can get up to speed even faster. VRS also makes it easy for you to request and schedule one-on-one or group coaching sessions. These sessions can range from 30 to 90 minutes, and you can select the car, track, and setup combination of your choice. Visit virtualracingschool.com today to sign up and get started.
Good evening everybody and welcome to the final round of the Apex Racing League GT Trophy here live on Apex Racing TV. My name is Andy Thompson. I'm joined in the commentary booth by Mr. Dave Whitehouse, and on production we have the wonderful Dennis Branch doing an excellent job for all the cameras for tonight's broadcast. So, final round in Phillip Island over in Australia. Normally a GP track, obviously getting the GT3 cars on track is certainly going to be interesting, which will make qualifying all the more important, Dave.
Yeah, it certainly will be around this circuit. Well known for a motorbike circuit as such, and having GT racing around it isn't a regular thing. So we don't really have a huge amount to go off from sort of real life in terms of how the racing will be. But hopefully we'll have a pure championship battle on our hands.
Yeah, so we've had Dave eagerly looking at the score. So without further ado, Dave, take us through all the permutations that could possibly come out with the championship tonight.
Yes, I have the whiteboard of doom, shall we call it. I'll take that from a friend of mine who has a spreadsheet of doom. So currently, Sven Newman is looking quite strong for the championship. He turns up tonight. He should score. Obviously, only 14 drivers in the field at the moment. I don't think there's going to be any late joiners. So 14 cars, and that means a minimum of 37 points as long as they're within 2 laps of the leader. So that's always important to know. After that, it's 0. So Newman, Moldovan, Tabone, who's not here tonight, Derek and Penn are all in with a chance of the championship. Chris Beats almost is, but he would score the full if he won the race and Newman scored 0, they'd be equal on points, and obviously Newman would take it on count back of wins. So realistically, we've got 4 drivers in the race tonight who could be champion, but we also have the big battle for 10th place, and so far I've got down to Carl Winkler, who could still scrape in there if things go his way. So it shows how close this championship is, that I've gone down to, I'm just trying to think where Carl is in the championship. He's down in 18th in the championship, and he could still scrape into that top 10 for the prizes on the Drivers' Championship.
But there we go, you know, there's still a hell of a lot to play for, and obviously we have a big prize pool actually tonight. So the top 10 drivers in the championship win a prize of varying standards. The guy who gets first will get the gold package for Apex Racing and SDK Gaming, and then it goes down from there. But still some really good prizes to be had for the top 10, and the top 3 teams as well. They will win prizes overall of a year's team subscription to either SDK Gaming or Apex Racing Academy. And looks like Core Sim Racing 1 will look at winning that, but VGR Racing will be in second place. It should be on that, but I think third place is still up for grabs from a few teams that we've got going out there. But yeah, it's all certainly going to be interesting to play for. Small grid tonight, only 14 drivers tipped up for this last round, but I'm pretty sure that it will be still epic racing. So we'll see if Dennis can grab somebody, and we'll do an in-car show around this track at Phillip Island to show you what it's like for the driver's perspective. So we'll see if Dennis can pick somebody up just coming around the last couple of corners, and then we'll get on board with him and travel a lap around Phillip Island.
Yeah, I think it shows how close this racing is going to be. If you look already, just with the opening laps, the top 9 covered by 6 tenths, 11 tenths covering the top 10, and only 11 drivers have headed out to set a lap at this time. Oyston Herford, Mikael Schutu and Gazella are all in the pits at the moment, but as you say, we're just heading round towards the end of a lap for a lap of this Phillip Island circuit.
Yeah, so we'll go on board here with Carl Winkler coming around the last corner here, which is turn number 12. So it's vital to get a good run out, keeping close to that apex to try and get maximum speed as they come down this long start finish straight here coming into turn 1. So turn 1's a 5th gear corner. Oh, typical. Doubly jump on board with somebody else if we can. Who we got here? Benny, let's have a look, see if he goes around. Yeah, so this first corner, 5th gear, staying out to the left and sort of trying to bleed off speed, not trying to put too much brake coming into turn number 2, going down to 4th, coming down into 3rd. So it's rather a long corner. You've got to hold out before you get on that acceleration there till you hit the apex, because it'll swing you out far to the right hand side of the track here. The turn 5 is pretty much flat out, coming down into turn number 4. Bleed off a lot of speed and get it down into 1st, maybe even 2nd gear coming through there. So slow right hand there, coming through 5th, going up into turn number 6, coming back down the gears into 2nd, trying to hug this inside of the track to open up the track coming down the outside, coming down to 7th into 4th. Oh, and Sven there takes it off track a little bit. So unfortunately there's half the track for you. I need to figure out where we are here now.
Yeah, we're just going past where Sven was, so Carl Winkler's now, so we've gone on board with his teammate now, like we were originally going to, swing right and then up this sort of blind crest to try and keep it tight, because the downhill hairpin comes straight away, down the gears, slowest circuit corner on the circuit I think, and round 2 very similar corners here, just long left-handers. You've got to be patient on the first one, and then you can throw it into the second one, but you've got to be very tight on the line so that you can run out wide, because that little bump at the end could just throw you off the track. And that is a lap of Phillip Island.
It was a great pickup there, Dennis, to pick up the car that was literally on the same point of it. So well done to Dennis there for managing to keep on. So as we see, the track is extremely tight. So this qualifying is going to be all the more crucial to be able to get up to the front half of the grid, because passing is certainly going to be difficult here, you know, unless you're really brave and try and have a deep lunge into a corner. The only real obvious one is the start-finish straight.
Yeah, it is a tough one. You've got to try and get mistakes, but you may get mistakes. The track temperature 94 degrees Fahrenheit, and the wind speed is quite well. It's 13 miles an hour according to the graphic. So this is a circuit which is on the coast, as you can see from that picture. Right in the background is the sea, and it's just all about keeping it on the road here. Don't make the mistakes. At the moment, Sven Newman, the championship leader, out in front in qualifying, and that's exactly where he wants to be, so he can try and stay out of trouble. But Bogdan Moldovan has popped himself up into second place. He needs to be on that front row because he needs to get ahead of Newman straight away to close that gap in the championship, which is currently sitting at about
now, John Derrick.
About 17 points. Yeah,
John Derrick just there nipping in with a great lap, only 0.079 seconds behind Sven Newman, which demotes Bogdan Moldovan into third place. So yeah, the top three still in there, so they're up there with Sven Newman at the front, John Derrick, Bogdan Moldovan, and Leon Penn there putting in a fourth place lap at the moment. Still extremely close, as we've always been throughout the whole of this championship, all within 1 second, Dave. And we're seeing it here again today with 11th place, only a second behind pole position.
Yeah, it's super close at the moment. I can see Hakan Gribstad up in 5th place. That's going to do his championship no harm whatsoever. Currently sitting in 8th in the championship at the moment, but a good result here could propel him into the top 6 with Gavencu and Tabo not here, so he'll be certainly pushing hard to try and get a good result. And Chris Beats, again, only 4 tenths off pole, but down in 8th. So that just shows you what the closeness of this Pro Series is like. And hopefully the AM Series starting next week will be just exactly the same.
Yeah, definitely. The thing with this track, and you don't really get it looking at the picture, guys, is how undulating the track is. Obviously, we saw it there on the onboard with Sven Newman, Carl Winkler. How much the track falls away in the off-camber corners, you know. And exactly like you said, Dave, you know, these drivers need to make sure that they keep it, you know, smooth on track, because this track can easily catch you out, and it doesn't have bite when you get it wrong, I think. And certainly around this corner here, going out wide, you've got a wall out there to your left-hand side that you might find a lot of drivers actually going into it. So drivers have got to keep it nice and smooth and consistent, and not try. And that's where it's going to make all the harder to try and pass cars.
Yeah, it's going to be tough just in general tonight, and a lot of it will be about concentration. If you can get your concentration in the right frame of mind and just keep it there, as we see the checker flag is now out, and Bogdan Moldovan, the only man still on lap, but he is going quicker than he's been so far. He heads down the hill, gets his braking point just right round the tight hairpin at the bottom. 2 corners to go on this lap. As he brings it round, can he try and put it on the front row or even beat Sven Newman? He's had 2 green sectors so far. Hakan Gridstead and Kieran Smarter on laps, but they're slightly slower. So here comes Bogdan Moldovan to the line, keeps it as straight as possible, shortest run, and up into second place, 14 thousandths of a second off Sven Newman.
That is insanely close, but as we watch him get out on grid. So in first place we have Sven Newman, our pole sitter. Bogdan Moldovan managing to get in second place there at the last moment over John Derrick in third, with Leon Penn in fourth. Hakan Gribstad in 5th, Carl Winkler in 6th, Dominic Engel in 7th, Chris Beats in 8th, Adam Brown in 9th, Michael Powlich in 10th, Kieran Smart 11th, and Ostan Herford in 12. Obviously, pit lane starters, I believe. Mittal Sutanu in 13th and Emil Gazzella in 14th. So the last three, I think they are pit lane starters for this race. So 11 out on track with 3 in the pits.
Yeah, like you say, a small grid. It just means that to score them low points, which obviously people might need Sven Newman to, or Bogdan Moldovan for John Derrick and Leon Penn to try and get in there to have a chance at the championship. That's going to be more if they don't score any points whatsoever, because they're already going to score 37 for 14th place if they stay within that lap. You also have that extra bonus point of if you get a 0x race. Now that could be crucial. I don't know exactly how many people may have scored that this year, but I predict it would be very difficult to get it around this circuit. But the smaller grid will also make a huge difference to the bottom half of the top 10 in the championship. There's people like Kieran Smart, Austin Herford, Engel, Winkler, all outside the top 10 in the points at the moment. But with this smaller grid and drivers missing, they're going to score well, whatever result, and they'll move up into that top 10 possibly.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the outcome of having this smaller grid is the guys that haven't tipped up tonight. It gives the opportunity for the guys that have that, are, like you say, just outside of that top 10 position to get the opportunity to get into that top 10. And there's some really good points on offer in this round. Like you said, 37 is the lowest you can score. So I think tonight's race is certainly going to be all about consistency on track as we watch the drivers there set off for their warm-up lap. Obviously, it is quite warm, so I wouldn't imagine it take long for these tyres to get up. But the other thing is it's really tight, twisty track with really fast corners. So I think the tyres will take a lot of hammering tonight on this track. So it'd be interesting to see what happens during the pit stop strategies. If anybody decides, I can still handle that 37th and I can change my tyres, because them tyres will be pretty warm by the end of this race.
Yeah, that's true, especially with the heat on the track surface. That is a true Aussie safety car out there, isn't it? Yeah. We're not seeing the normal Porsche out there today. The Australians really getting the big V8 out for the safety car. But yeah, it'll all depend whether they want to take that risk with the tyres. There's very long corners on this circuit. Mainly left-handers in terms of the long corners. I can't actually think of many long right-handers in this. They're all sorts of slower, like the two hairpins. So that maybe it might even be a tactic to change one side, but that'll be a risk for sure.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting race. Even with these smaller grids, the racing is still fanatic, and as long as the cars all stay together, this race will be just as good as any of the other races that have gone before it, and even more so. The drivers now know that the points are on offer to them, so they can go for it at the end of the day. And with these smaller grids, it gives them more room on track to get the decent speeds on and catch cars in front of them, because they haven't got to get through the traffic. So it's all going to be to play for, and it's all going to be really interesting. I'm glad you picked up on the pace car there, mate. It was a tribute to the being in Oz, and also for the new NASCAR league that starts on Thursday. So head over to Apex Racing TV and have a look at that.
Yeah, it peels off now into a very tight pit lane. That's something that will be picked up on later in the race, and Sven Newman will control the pace. The top 4 championship contenders all in the top 4 here as they gun it straight out of the final corner, and Sven Newman's got the jump, and Bogdan Moldovan's been left behind there off the front row. John Derrick and Leon Penn have got past him both, I think, down into turn 1. And is that Hakan Gribstad having a go at him as well? He's just keeping his nose clear for now. But it's Newman who leads from Derrick, Penn and Moldovan. So very close at the moment. Hakan Gribstad leading the best of the rest, it seems, with Carl Winkler in 6th. But Bogdan Moldovan having a look around the outside of Penn. He'll have the inside for the hairpin. Will he be late enough on the brakes? He goes for it. He knows he needs to make this move now, and he does. He makes it stick on the Scotsman Penn, and he will be up into third place. But Penn's fighting back into the next corner, and great side-by-side action so far, and Penn retakes third place.
Yeah, definitely an absolute terrible start there for Brandon Moldovan. You know, caught napping there really off the line. Got caught up. Oh, a bit of a spinner at the back. Emil Garcia. Obviously coming out of the pits, one of our pit lane starters, be well back in the field now, so it'll probably be pretty much a lonely race for him back there. But still valuable points on offer, as like you said, if you're within 2 laps of the leader. But certainly at the front there, Bogdan got a terrible start, caught napping. John Derek, Leon Penn overtook him down the first straight, so he's got it all to do again, and he seems to be in a bit of a battle with Leon Penn in third place. Those two are going to be fighting it out for a few laps, but that's going to give the opportunity for John Derek and Sven Newman to try and get that gap over these two, because they're going to be fighting over each other.
Yeah, you really don't want to start tripping over each other at this early stage. If one of us you got pace, just go with it, especially when you got this championship challenge to go for. Grubstad, Winkler, Powlich, Beats, Brown, all hanging on to the back. Herford up into the top 10 from his pit lane start, so that's a good start. He's managed to gain a couple of positions. Not sure why Chitu and Gazella are lapped down on the timing screen, but apparently they are. We'll try and find out why that is later on. But we saw Gazella spin out. There's Mihaj Chitu, who's trying to catch the back of a pack. But we're back with Bogdan Moldovan, who is not exactly harassing Penn at this early stage.
No, I think they're obviously that possession to just be able to the option for Leon Penn to try and get onto the back of John Derek. So there's a little bit of gap, obviously 0.8 of a second between Newman and Derek, and then it's probably around about the same between Derek and Penn. So maybe Bogdan playing the long game and not trying to fight too much with Leon Penn to get Leon to get up onto the back of John Derek, so pulling the front two in. So I think that's a very wise move. But you know, you were mentioning there on the outlap for the start of this race about that pit lane entry. I mean, that's going to be another one, an extremely thin and long pit lane that's probably going to catch quite a few drivers out coming into it if people haven't trained it. Oh, as we see Bogdan getting on the back of Leon Penn, pushing into the back of him, and Leon just losing 2 places there off that corner. So very aggressive move there from Bogdan in managing to get up to third place.
Yeah, that was quite a strange one, because as Grubstad now goes to third place up the inside of Bogdan, will he be able to make that stick in the Porsche? Yes, he will, and up into third for the Norwegian. Great opportunistic move there by Håkon Grubstad. But yeah, Bogdan was right behind Leon Penn into that corner. I mean, I don't know whether Penn tried to stop it on the apex to get it turned, but it seemed to all happen very quickly. As we can see, Herford is dropped down two positions behind Engel and Kieran Smart. So he's obviously ran wide somewhere, possibly at the hairpin. But this queue of cars is building up, and there is an important man in this race, Carl Winkler, teammate to Sven Newman. Now, will there be some tactics, maybe leave Carl out to make sure that he can not hold people up on purpose, but sort of bulk people like Bogdan Moldovan when they have pitted, or will he pit early and try and undercut? Who knows? But it'd be interesting to see whether Carl can get himself into the championship sort of menacing position.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Sven Newman at the front, he doesn't need to win this race. He probably just needs to finish within there. Oh, as we see, Adam Brown taking it. Oh, wow, that was extremely close there for near contact. But yeah, Adam Brown taking the off-road route. Coming around, look. As he gets round number 1, what happens here? So he goes out very wide into turn number 1. Yeah, and so close to picking up, what was that car?
Engel.
Wow, I bet he had his heart in his mouth there, but managing to keep it nice and clean does our Adam Brown, and still in the hunt back there in 11th place, only 8 seconds off the leader, but sort of little gaps here. So from second all the way down to say 8th place with Chris Beats, is only 4 seconds. And there's a slight gap between Dominic Engel, who's then got Kieran Smart and Adam Brown for company, and Herford in 12th position, and then Michal Sutu in 13th place there with Casella. So it looks like the time and Dow has sorted itself out, so they weren't quite a lap down, they were only 15 seconds, but nice clean track for him to try and get back onto the back of this pack at the moment. But little splits coming out into the field halfway through.
Yeah, there's a big gaggle of cars from 3rd to 8th though. Gribstad, Moldovan, Penn, Winkler, Powlich, Beats, all is the closest battle. This battle is also the next closest battle. Smart, Brown and Herford. Herford, who was said had a brilliant start and has now dropped back again, so obviously had a bit of a mistake somewhere and but didn't do enough to lose too much time, and is now behind Brown, who has possibly got to change his trousers at the pit stop after that turn 1 incident. And I wouldn't be surprised if Dominic Engel does, because he did not know where Brown was whatsoever and just turned into the corner with a hope that he was going to pop out behind. But here we are back with Hakon Gribstad being the true championship nullifier at the moment. He's currently sitting, as we said before, 8th in the championship. He should pass Gavencu tonight because Gavencu not racing. So a win would actually pass to Bone wouldn't pass to Bone, sorry. Bone has too many points, but it's certainly a chance for him to try and challenge somebody like Chris Beats or even Leon Penn, but it certainly protects him from positions behind.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, a great race in here. Currently sat in 3rd place, Gribstad there, doing an excellent job. He did do well in practice as well. He was up there at the front, so certainly a track that favours him this round at the moment, and doing an exceptional job there, as we saw him get past Bogdan Moldovan for that 3rd place position. And Bogdan at the moment hasn't really got any answers to try and get past him, so Gribstad doing an excellent job there. So a big long train, isn't it, from Gribstad to Moldovan to Penn to Winkler to Powlich, and Beats not just far off the back of that as well. So, you know, this battle here for 3rd place is certainly heating up as we watch a pass there. Herford managing to get up to a P11, and Brown fighting hard there with Herford, and Kieran Smart just managing to keep that 10th place. But I think this battle is going to rage for the whole 60 minutes. We're currently only 8 minutes into the 60 minutes, so plenty of time left, and we normally see a lot of action after the pit rounds have been completed, so pretty much sure that this is going to follow the same route, but a lot of action here in the first 8 minutes.
Yeah, you've said that for the last 2 races, and it's changed as Brown goes up the inside and does 2 in 1. Has he got the next position around the outside? Yes, he has. He's done Kieran Smart and he's done Austin Herford, and he's up into that 10th place. It's like the dreaded 10th place. Nobody seems to want to hold on to it. But meanwhile, at the front, John Derrick now has the gap down to half a second, and it's even closer now. It's about half a second, sorry. It closed through turn 1 with the speed, but John Derrick has been chipping away at that lead over the last 3 or 4 laps, and is now in a position to start putting Newman under a bit more pressure. And it's not really what Sven Newman wants. He wants to disappear into the distance and win this championship at a canter. But then again, he might be a driver who loses a bit of concentration if he's out in front by miles, and wouldn't mind a bit of a challenge from another driver, as long as it's at arm's length, shall we say.
Yeah, I think he'd much prefer the race that he had Interlagos in the second round, if I remember rightly, that he just cantered away and literally was left for the whole race. But John Derrick is not going to give it all his way tonight, literally on his tail. 0.8 of a second now, so lost about 2/10 in this lap, but closing it up. Yeah, so around about 0.8 of a second behind Sven Newman there in second place, with a little bit of a gap now between himself and Gribstad in third, near enough 1.8 seconds. So, you know, Gribstad's defending quite hard at the moment between Bogdan, who's just behind him, Leon, who's behind him, Cole behind him there. So a big gaggle of cars from third all the way down to 7th. Chris Beats just getting off the back slightly of Marko Palic in 8th place. So he's losing a little bit of ground and coming back towards Dominic Engel in 9th. So those two guys will be surely battling pretty soon on track. But Beats getting caught in a little bit of no man's land there, back in 8th place.
Yeah, we know from normally with Chris Beats, he comes into it in the second half of a race, but he is just dropping off. He needs to try and close that gap back up. Maybe just protecting the tyres after the first 10 minutes of pushing. But the top two aren't really getting away from this pack at the moment. The gap between second and third is 2 seconds, and it's sat there since about lap 2 and not really had much change, even though the drivers have been battling, as Bogdan Moldovan now has Leon Penn all over him. They've dropped a little bit off the back of Gripstad though, so there's definitely good pace with Hakon Gripstad today. He seems to be enjoying this Phillip Island circuit, but there's Moldovan, who really needs to start thinking about making some moves, because if he wants this championship, he needs to go win it and not just sort of wait for something to happen. But he also has to watch out for his second in the championship. Derek and Penn could possibly steal it from him. Let me just have a look at the point. No, Penn can't steal second for the championship from Moldovan. So it'd be just as long as Moldovan scores, that is.
Too many point calculations there for me, Dave. You're Mr. Points man from now on, I think.
Yeah, I'm just making sure I've got them all right. I don't want to tell you it's something and it's not. But no, it's definitely that if Moldovan scores, which is obviously a top 14 here tonight, and still we have all 14 drivers running, so that's quite important actually in the scheme of things, because if somebody decided to or had to retire, which we haven't seen a big crash yet or anything, touch wood, but if somebody did pull out, then obviously it's an extra point for anybody who finishes last, because they will be 13th, not 14th. So all very crucial for everybody to try and keep going in this race. Obviously nobody aims to retire, but I'll just keep watching Hakon Gripstad at the moment. His pace is very good. He's not losing time to the leaders. He's actually gaining on John Derrick on this lap. So we'll see how he gets on later on in the race.
Yeah, definitely. And you can sort of see on board now with Leon Penn how much movement there is in the car around this track. And, you know, as we watch him going around turn number 1 here, just trying to bleed it. Oh, fights in that car to make sure he tries to keep it on track, losing a little bit of time there with Bogdan, but so easily done on this track. And this is what I was saying, later on in the race, when these tyres are a lot more worn, you know, we might see a little bit more off-track action, certainly around that first corner, because it's an extremely fast right-hander corner, just bleeding the speed off from 5th gear all the way down, coming into turn number 2, getting down into 3rd gear there. So literally using very little brakes and just using the gears to try and come down. So, and I think the other thing about this track is a lot of the other tracks have multiple lines that you can sort of go through the corners, but this track, there's only real one line around the whole track due to the undulating. Oh, as we watch Emil Garcia coming off again. I think that's his second spin of the round at the moment. Is that coming? No.
That's turn 2.
Yeah, it's yeah. So there's only real one line to be able to do. So that's why we're not seeing the guys really pulling away or closing up much, because it's tenths of a second difference between each of the drivers on each of the laps because of this. You know, one single line really on this track to follow.
Yeah, and that's where the earlier pit stop may come into play, because at the moment, if you pitted, I mean, we're, 15 minutes into a race roughly, and you wouldn't expect them to pit for another 15 minutes on top of that. So if we take the last 15 minutes and multiply it by 2, so obviously we've got, that puts Kieran Smart 36 seconds off the pace. You're going to have about probably about 20 seconds of free air if you pitted and you'd come out behind him. So that's quite crucial for anybody who wants to maybe try an early stop, get some free air and just push at their own pace, but you have to have the pace to push through. There's no point pitting early and then going, well, actually, I'm better following somebody, because you won't have anybody to follow and you won't have anybody to battle. So that's where it'll be all important for the drivers to decide when it's best for them to pit. But at the moment, Sven Newman is controlling the gap at the moment to John Derrick. It seems to be pushing hard enough, but Derrick not quite close enough to put him under too much pressure. And the Rottenberry Racing driver is certainly trying to put on a show for us here. He's got third place in the championship to try and win. He's won one race this year so far, another podium at round 5. So another podium here would certainly help his championship challenge.
Yeah, without a shadow of a doubt, doing very well, but keeping it to that 0.8 of a second behind Newman, so just not quite getting right on the back of it. But one fight that is going out on track is Chris Winkler with Malko Palic in 7th place. So these two, both core sim racing team. So Leon Penn is core sim racing 1 and Carl Winkler core sim racing 2, but obviously the same teammates. So be interesting to see if they have a little battle out on track in this last round with not too much to play for really in a championship, but always good to have a decent battle on any track with another car. As we watch Herford here trying to get up on the inside of Brown, managed to get it done, but Brown will have the inside for the next corner. Sort of switchback, isn't it? You try and get the inside there, and then he'll have it back the inside for the next corner. So it's these two side by side action, Herford and Brown here for this infamous 10th place, as we were saying earlier on, that nobody seems to be able to keep it, but these two battling really hard. Great to see on track that these two are having such a heated battle, but keeping it extremely clean. And hopefully I haven't just done the commentator's kiss of death there and somebody else, but as you see in the background there, Kieran Smart wants a little bit of this action, getting really squirrely coming down at the corner, so pushing that car to the absolute maximum.
Yeah, Gazella has pitted now. I'm not sure if he's pitted to pull out of the race or whether he's pitted to do a pit stop. It seems a little bit early, but if he's had a couple of spins, so maybe he's cooked the tyres. But here we are back at the front. Sven Newman leading the way, controlling that gap, as I said before, but there is the top 5 all in your screen at that point. And John Derrick certainly doesn't look like he's pushing too hard at this stage. Seems to be under control, just keeping that gap to a relative stage, and maybe he's got a bit more paces. Oh, I was hoping no more cars would go. Oh, yeah, we're going to get a pirouette as well by Satiyu, and a 3-point turn as well, showing off his true driving skills. You're not on a driving test now, so he will continue in 13th place.
Yeah, and the remaining contingencies not having the best of time here at Phillip Island. We got the back two there, and Gazella currently still in the pits. So that's a bit of a strange one, considering you get a fast repair in this championship. So I don't know if he's found the track a little bit too hard, because I don't even think I've actually raced around this track. I've always seen it on iRacing and sort of steered clear of it. So this would certainly be my Marmite track, where I think I would hate it if I was getting it. It's not the one I normally like doing, but these drivers showing how it is done, and literally nothing there between first and second, 100th of a second difference on that whole lap last time out. So Derrick sort of gaining a little bit of time back now, so only 0.5 of a second behind Newman, so keeping Newman honest there. So we see on the timing, lap 12.296 of a second gained, last lap a thousandth of a second gain. So he's there or thereabouts, and certainly going to be challenging Sven towards the end of this race. And I think it's all going to be down to tyre management, fuel management of where the guys are going to be coming into pits, and the normal undercut we do normally see in these races, round about 23 to 27 minutes is sort of the undercut window that we normally see in the races. The normal pit stops are around about halfway, 30 minutes to 30, around about 38 minutes. So it'd be interesting to see what these guys do. But Chris Beats now really closed down the back the gap on Sven Newman now at 0.4 of a second, so we'll be within that slipstream effect coming down that start-finish straight. So it'll be interesting to see if he can make a move there, or certainly get closer up the field to be right on the back of Newman.
Yeah, it's super close at the moment. As things stand, actually, second place would be enough for John Derrick to take third in the championship, and it would be Tabone in fourth and Penn in fifth. What's quite interesting is the battle for sixth in the championship, because at the moment Chris Beats will be finishing on, if it stayed as it is, which we predict it won't, Chris Beats will be on 398. Hakon Gribsted's on 390 with his third place. So it shows that just these couple of positions either way, Gribstad moves it up one, he'll gain 5 points automatically if he got second place. So that shows how close, but even the lower end of the top 10 is, and why every position will count here, as it does look like Gazella won't be returning from the pits as he's now 3 laps down. So that means that anybody finishing last within 2 laps will be finishing 13th.
Yeah, definitely. And then we're watching on screen now the fight for third place between Gribstad and Bogdan Moldovan in fourth place, right on his tail. Leon Penn just off the tail end of this group, but trying his best. Let's just try and get on to the back of him is the Flying Scotsman there in fifth place. But Bogdan Moldovan currently second in the championship, trying to get the last podium position in this race at the moment. We're only 21 minutes into a 60-minute race, so still plenty of time to make that move. But we saw off the start-finish line as we watch here coming down the start-finish, great picture angle, trying to get on the outside of turn number 1. It's going to be interesting going 2 car wide into turn 1, but just backing out slightly. But I think he will have a decent run off Gribstad, which will close up loads on the corners. As we see him there, just getting right on the back of Gribstad, putting a lot of pressure over the Norwegian driver here in third place.
Yeah, that gap's closed down, and Gribstad maybe made a mistake because he was sitting quite comfortably 2.6 behind the leader. He's now 4.3. He's back into Moldovan and Penn. Winkler's not that far behind. He seems to have dropped Powlich a touch, so he is looking to try and join in this group of championship contenders. And yes, it's not looking good for Moldovan and Penn at this early stage, being stuck behind Gribstad. But we've only had a third of the race so far, and we will be starting to look at pit stops in the next couple of laps. So maybe somebody like Moldovan or Penn might want to pit early, get out into some fresh air, and try and put down some pace to get ahead of Gribstad.
Yeah, he certainly had an issue on his last lap. He'd done a 129.01, and Bogdan Moldovan behind him done a 128.3, so closed up 7/10. So certainly had an issue on the last lap at some point, did Gribstad, which has made it a lot more interesting here for the battle for third. And you know, this would be the area and the time frame that Bogdan Moldovan may think, or even Leon Penn, who's managed to get onto the back of Moldovan there in fifth place, to try to do that undercut like you were mentioning, get in, get a bit of free air, and then really push the pace on to try and do the undercut on them. It's interesting to see what the guys are thinking that their strategy is going to be, and if they're going to have to think on the fly, as we're currently back here with this 10th place battle where Adam Brown managing to keep it going a little bit wide there around that corner, which lets Hereford close up onto the back of him. But it's a sort of battle of the manufacturers at the moment. You got obviously Lamborghini and BMW fighting out here for 10th and 11th place. You would expect to see the thing, and you know, 8th place here we've got a Porsche and a Lamborghini. So these two cars I would expect to do quite well around this style of track, being the really tight corners, but then you've got the BMW being able to power it around the fast corners on there, so sort of neutralizing the constructors bit where we got a BMW. We got pretty much a different car in the top 3 at the moment. We've got BMW in first, Lamborghini in second, and the Porsche in third place at the moment. So a good showing from the different manufacturers of these GT3 cars.
Yeah, it's good to see a good mix. We did have a Ferrari and a Mercedes earlier on in the season, but they seem to be dropped in terms of their favourability. But certainly producing some great racing throughout the year, whatever cars have been out there, and it's not like the teams have been looking and going, oh, there's a BMW, I won't fight it. They've been fighting hard throughout the year, even teammates fighting hard, as John Derrick now has the gap down to 0.4 of a second on Sven Newman, and he is actually on the rear of that BMW in the lead. Again, as you can see at the bottom of the screen, just closed a little bit per lap, lost a little bit on lap 15, but reignited his charge, and now he is close enough to take a dive if he ever fancies it into a corner, and this is dangerous territory for Newman. So does he try and pit and get away from Derrick, or does he try and back his own skills and know that he can defend or pull away from him?
Be interesting to see how much John Derrick is actually pushing to know sort of how his tyres would be doing, because obviously if you're pushing quite hard, trying to keep up with the person in front of you, you're really going to suffer in the second half of the race, because them tyres will be even more worn than if you were trying to do the nice flowing lines, because we see some lines that he is cutting, which is a bit unorthodox down some of the corners. So, you know, it looks like he's pushing quite hard just to make sure that he stays on the tail end, as we see him 0.2 of a second now behind Sven Newman, gaining up about 0.2 of a second down that start-finish straight with the slipstream effect. So interesting to see here, and you know, Sven normally has its own way on a lot of the races, but John Derrick keeping it real for him tonight, and not letting him have his little last victory race here in the GT Pro Championship.
Yes, sorry, I just saw a kick of dust up there from Leon Penn on the inside of the corner. I was waiting for him to, if he caught it with rear wheel in the wrong way, it would have been going round like a spinning top there. But this championship is very, very close at this stage, and we've really got to see how this all unfolds. I'm surprised nobody's pitted yet, actually. I thought somebody might have died, but just, no, maybe not.
Obviously quite good on fuel this track, you know, certainly following in cars for a long amount of time, you're going to be saving quite a bit of fuel. So the guys that are out the front at the moment will be using them more, and the ones behind him may be looking at that fuel saving to try and do the overcut. Obviously we've just talked about the undercut here, but the overcut could be on, you know, having that extra 1 or 2 laps as we see a big battle. Oh no, that was Adam and Hereford there having that big battle for 10th place, and I think that might have been Adam just basically doing his getting a bit wide. Was there a bump, or was it? Oh, very close, extremely close there. But yeah, that's the battle for 10th over between them two, I think.
Yeah, but big news at the front. John Derrick has taken the lead. We've missed. I don't know if we can pick it up on a replay, but John Derrick passing Sven Newman. I think it was across the start line. Yeah, got a good run out the corner. Doesn't look that close, to be honest, but picks up the slipstream and goes for it, knowing Newman has a championship to fight for, and Derrick moves up into the lead, and maybe he thinks his car has just that little bit more pace and that he can extend a lead to make sure he can win this final round of a championship.
Yeah, great pass there coming. As we said, that's probably the optimal place to do it, being a fast corner, certainly if you've got that slipstream. So it'll be interesting to see now if John Derrick can actually get away from Sven Newman. Been following him for sort of like 28 minutes now. Got a bit of free air in front of him, so it'll be interesting to see if he can actually get away, as we see the gap there straight away open out to 0.8 of a second. So certainly John Derrick at this stage of the race deciding he wants to push on to try and break that Sven Newman gap and slipstream, so he's not able to do the same to him on this lap. So very interesting to see what happens in the next couple of laps. But we join Dominic Engel at the moment, battling out with Chris Beats for 8th place, just a little bit off, about 0.7 of a second behind him. She'll have a little bit of slipstream and be able to close that gap up towards the end of this, coming around turn number 1. So it'll be interesting to see. And the battle for, so there's little battles all over the field at the moment. So you got the first and second, then we're watching the current one for 3rd place for Gribstad, Motorvan and Penn. And then you have sort of Carl Winkler in a bit of no man's land, and then Michael Powlich in 7th, and then Chris Beats, he was on the back of Powlich, but seemed to have dropped back a little bit. So now around about 3 seconds behind Powlich. So must have been a little bit of an issue there for Beats, who currently sat in 8th place.
Yes. Oh, and there we go. That's Adam Brown pulling off, and he's out of the race. He's towed back to the pits, whether he's got damage or whether he's just decided enough is enough. But we look back again at the incident with Hakon Gribstad, and I've got a feeling there's just a little clip there. I'm not too sure, but just looks like there may have been. But then Adam Brown going down into turn one. Car slides a little bit, but no issues there, and it looks like it's probably just a pull off and a tow to a pitch. Yeah, it is. So a very quick pull off, to be fair.
You may have lost it on that
Maybe
corner.
actually did just lose it. It just
Yeah.
looked an odd angle to lose it at, but all important going sorry to rabbit on about the Drivers' Championship, but John Derrick moving into first place has actually now put Bogdan Moldovan under pressure. As it stands, Moldovan on 461, Derrick on 454. So Moldovan can't afford to lose too many more places or make a mistake, or he could lose second in the championship to the Brit John Derrick, who's putting on a great performance so far, as we're now 31 minutes into this race and we haven't had any pit stops.
No, very strange. So the driver's going really deep into this one before they decide that they want to pit. But yeah, that's really interesting, that, because obviously Bogdan has had like a Marmite season. He's done really well fighting out with Sven on a lot of the opening rounds. Then I think it was Canada, Montreal, that he sort of saw his rough patch as such, and finished quite low down there. Got it back a little bit mid-season, so he's had a bit of a topsy-turvy season, and to lose second place on the last race is always a kicker. But at the moment, he's still managing to keep that position in fourth place and that second overall. But it'd be interesting as we see Gribstad here coming from third place going into the pits, and Carl Winkler following him in. So the first of the pit stoppers. So it'll be interesting to see what sort of times they're getting.
Yeah, we've got three drivers in the pits, Gribstad, Winkler and Engel. It's only Gribstad who, I mean, yes, maybe he had to pit with fuel, but he was holding back Moldovan and Penn quite easily. So unless he had to pit, I'm not sure why he's done that, but we'll see where he comes out in comparison to those two drivers when they decide to pit. But he's pitted in 21.3 seconds stationary for him. Possibly, is there maybe some tyres in that? But 48 seconds flat it's took him to get out of the pits, and it looks like it's similar for Winkler, yeah. And Engel is about to leave the pit lane himself, a little bit slower by Engel, but that is 48 to 50 seconds is the pit stop time, and you see the drivers head straight out onto track. They don't need to use that full run off down to turn one. They can head straight out onto track as we come around towards the end of the lap, and we will see whether any of these top 3-4 will pit this time by. Derrick's in, Newman's in, Moldovan's in, and Penn in, so the whole top 4 are in, and this could decide the championship.
Yeah, definitely. So not big differences here really in the pit lane strategy, only one lap in it, so it'll be interesting to see with the guys that have just pitted where if the winners and losers really on the pit lane stop. So we'll see who comes out here between Sven and John Derrick to take these, but all 4 of them literally a nice neat line on screen, so I don't think you could get better there. So just stay with this and just see who's the first to move and who's going to be the winner out of this pit stop strategy here. So it looks like it is John Derrick that manages to get out and pulls a little bit more of a gap over Sven at the moment behind him, so a little bit more fuel taken there by Sven than John Derrick, and that might have been a result of John Derrick following Sven Newman for quite a large part of this race, 28 minutes to be exact, so taking that little bit less fuel than Sven Newman there.
Yes, and Moldovan and Penn fighting it out. They've both got ahead of Hakon Gribstad, so that hasn't worked for Gribstad, but he still has the pace. I thought Penn actually beat Moldovan out of the pits, but they were so equal, the graphics couldn't decide which car was ahead. But Moldovan has to defend now because he's got Penn all over him who wants to make the move now, and Gribstad. So if these two drivers get past Moldovan, then that's making his second in the championship look very shaky indeed, as Penn takes another little look, trying to harass Bogdan in the mirrors, but Bogdan's experienced enough and shouldn't be letting that affect him. But yes, John Derrick now 3 seconds clear, 2.5, 3 seconds clear at the front of Sven Newman. So a very good pit stop there for the Brit John Derrick as Oyston Herford heads to the pits. He's the last man to stop. So we'll see where he comes out. He was down with Kieran Smart in 11th place earlier on.
Yeah, it looks like that the midfield of the pack is all sort of like started to bunch up again. You got a fight there for 7th place for Carl Winkler and Michael Powlich as Herford starts going down the order. So we'd expect to see him coming out around about 10th, 11th, 12th place at the moment after his pit stop goes in as it goes down to 9th. But we're looking at the moment for this rather monstrous mammoth battle here for 3rd place between Bogdan Moldovan, Leon Penn and Hakon Gribstad. And I think you called that exactly right there, Dave, with Gribstad sort of holding up Moldovan and Penn and sort of losing out there. Was in the front of these guys, now in the back of them, but not losing too much ground of them. So, you know, always going to be a fighting chance when you're that close. You could literally throw a blanket over the 3 of them at the moment. And I wonder if Bogdan actually looked at the points and looked at all the permutations to see where he has, because if he did, he'd be an extremely nervous driver at the moment with having the likes of Leon Penn right on his tail and the Gribstad not that far behind him. So it's probably best he didn't look if he did or whatever, but because that could seriously affect the way that he tries to look at this race.
Yeah, they always say always eyes forward when you're racing. Try not to look in the mirrors, because you never like what's in your mirrors, even if it's a whole field. So always eyes forward when you're racing, and that's what Bogdan's done on this lap. But Hakon Gribstad is all over Leon Penn, and he's going to head to the outside of turn 1. This is going to be a brave move if he gets this done. Heads down into turn 1, tries to go side by side. He's going around the outside of Penn, slightly off the racing line, but he's done it. And that's a great move by Hakon Gribstad, the Norwegian, up into 4th place. And it's allowed Bogdan Moldovan about a second lead in front, but these two Porsches will close him down as quickly as they can.
Yeah, definitely great move there. Obviously, looked up the inside, managed to get his car alongside Leon Penn, but Leon Penn's fighting back now. Oh no, a big hit there, and Leon Penn goes off. Absolutely disastrous for Leon Penn. He's having a great round there. Where's he going to come back on track? He just needs to keep his composure now and trying to get himself back on track to get him in there. But absolute disaster there. So coming around the corner, Leon gets a good run coming through the next left-hander, manages to get his car up along inside. As we see here, it's just a coming together, unfortunately. And Leon, oh man, that's disastrous for the Scotsman, doing exceptionally well in this race, fighting for that 3rd place, and unfortunately down in 7th place at the moment. But all's not lost. He can still try and gain back, because we know he's got the pace to try and get on the back of Powlich and try and fight for that 5th place with Winkler, who's only about 4 seconds up the road. But, you know, that's let Bogdan Moldovan off the hook there. Still has Gribstad for company there in 4th place, but about 1.5 seconds behind him at the moment. But I'm pretty sure that they will come back. But I'm sure 1 car is better than 2 cars behind him.
Yeah, you'll much more prefer that. It's not good news in terms of Racing 1's championship. Obviously, Sven Newman up in 2nd place, Leon Penn fallen down to 7th, Powlich in 5th. So they're not really going to get challenged at the moment, because KC Racing Esports are not racing here today. Walk Racing not having the best of days. Bogdan Moldovan the best of their drivers. So it does look like Corsim Racing 1 will be claiming both titles at this stage, the drivers and the constructors. Only 2 drivers out, 12 drivers still going. So that shows the team effort there, that Mikhail Chatou is still going there in 12th place, still, even though he's about half a minute down on the next car in front. He's just keeping it going, scoring the points for the team. to try and get that second in the championship.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the thing we saw there, the battle at the front with John Derrick, is actually pulling out from Sven Newman, currently 1.8 seconds ahead. So John Derrick is, it looked like Sven was obviously holding him up slightly, but Sven does a faster lap there by 0.2 of a second. But John Derrick, they're pulling out a little bit of gap over Sven Newman in second, and what we're currently watching on screen at the moment is this epic battle for third place at the moment. Bogdan Moldovan, who started second in this race, got a terrible start off the start-finish line and basically lost 2 places in the first straight. Has managed to fight his way back up to third place at the moment, about 5 seconds off Sven Newman at the moment, so a bit of a gap in front of him, but Gribstad is certainly keeping him honest here, right on the tail of him. So Gribstad was in front of Moldovan before the round of pit stops. Unfortunately, didn't quite get the keep the position and is currently behind Bogdan at the moment, but has certainly, you know, got the pace to trouble Bogdan in the closing 19 minutes of this race.
Yeah, it's going to be really close. To be honest, Bogdan's going to have to make a decision soon for pace that Hakon Gribstad's got right now, in terms of, does he want to secure second in the championship with 4th place, or does he want that final podium of the season? Now, as a racer, he'll want that podium, but it just depends. I mean, some drivers look at it different ways. I know, for example, myself, I always think championship. If I do a whole championship, I'm thinking championship from lap 1, race 1. That's normally how I race. In terms of Bogdan, I don't know how he thinks. Other people just think, right, I need the best result from this race every single time, and each race is a single event, and the championship, just what happens will be. So it just depends what he's thinking at this time. Does he just let Gribstad go and secure and play it safe? But then if Gribstad loses control in front of him and he's got nowhere to go, then it's a bad move to do that. So it's a very difficult situation to be in.
Yeah, so Gribstad get right up to the back of Moldovan there going into that. But, you know, looking out on our YouTube followers, so, you know, big support there for Leon Pan Macaruna, who's actually one of the drivers that we haven't seen for a while in this championship, giving a bit of a shout out to Leon and Stuart McFarlane there. Unlucky Leon, yeah, absolutely disastrous there for Leon Penn, who's currently sat in 7th place, fighting. He was very much in the battle and all over the back of Moldovan here for 3rd place, and an unfortunate come together with Gribstad put pay to that, and currently fighting his way back there in 7th place. So not too far up the road as Michael Palic. So 6th place is still a possibility, and 5th place, very much an outside possibility, but you never know in this race, and it just takes one poor line in this race. We've got Gribstad getting right on the back of Moldovan coming down into the first corner. So will we have a 2x2 car ride going around the first corner? We will. So hopefully they can both get it around there nice and safely. So Bogdan just managing to get in front. Gribstad might have pulled out slightly on that because it's a bit of a treacherous move there, trying to go 2x2 into that first corner.
Yeah, it's one he's already pulled off on Leon Penn tonight, though, so I wouldn't be surprised if he goes for that move again. As we keep saying, there's not a huge amount of space to overtake, as Bogdan does a nice defensive work into the first of the hairpins on the track. Hakon looking for the cut back, trying to get the power down. He's put Moldovan out of position. This is what you got to do around a track like this. Keep harassing that driver off the racing line, and then in the end the mistake will come. It looks like it may have come here because Gribstad is fully alongside. He's up the inside of Moldovan. Moldovan trying to hold on. That's a risky strategy, offline, trying to hold on to the position, but he's still up the inside. Gribstad on the outside. He'll have the inside down the hill. Moldovan's still there. They're still side by side, and Gribstad will get position this time. Yes, he will, just about on the exit of the hairpin. So good battling between both drivers and a healthy respect.
Yeah, definitely. You know, that could have gone disastrously wrong, but both drivers giving each other space, realizing that they're in the wrong line, so they've given it out as you see a bit of swerving. So Gribstad trying to break that toe so Moldovan doesn't get that slipstream like Gribstad got on the last lap. So managing to secure it quite well there, Gribstad. But Moldovan will be coming back at him on this lap, I'm pretty sure. So I'm pretty sure we're going to see a lot more side-by-side action for this last podium place of third place on in this race. So just a quick shout out to one of our sponsors, Virtual Racing School. So if you want to improve your on-track performance, then go over to virtualracingschool.com, where they have 50 plus data packs for road and oval racing. They have excellent setup guides, track guides that gives you a breakdown of every single corner of the track, data analysis software to see where you're losing at tenths against the pros, and also you can get one-to-one coaching. So head over to virtualracingschool.com and see the many packages that they have on offer to improve your iRacing skill, as we're currently still on board with this third place battle that doesn't seem to like it's going to end, Dave, and I reckon this one's going to go all the way to the wire between these two.
Yeah, I suspect it will do. In terms of with 15 minutes to go, there's an interesting battle in 9th, 10th and 11th. Now, it's not very close on track. Dominic Engel, Austin Hereford and Kieran Smart. But all of them in the championship, as it stands, are covered by 1 point. Kieran Smart 294, Hereford 293 and Engel 294. Now, it doesn't sound that interesting, but all of a sudden, they are battling for 10th place in the championship and that final position of winning a prize. So that is all important. So it's best to keep your eye on that as we head towards the end.
Yeah, for sure. You know, like we said at the start, the top 10 of this championship do win prizes. You know, and even the lower prizes, it's still I think it's a year subscription to either Apex Racing Academy or SDK Gaming. So, you know, still a really good prize to be had there for finishing 10th place in this championship. And as Dave said there, we got 3 drivers all in a row from 9th, 10th and 11th the opportunity to grab that last 10th space. So everything's to play for in this last 14 minutes of this this round.
Yeah, it's going to be super close in terms of trying to win them prizes, and everybody will want a prize. I mean, like you say, it's the first time that top 10 have had prizes. I believe the amateur championship will have top 10 prizes as well. I'm not 100% sure. I've gone through the whole rule book yet, but I suppose I better do that because I need to know what I'm doing. But it'd be great to see that move down to the amateur ranks, and obviously the amateur ranks, but I think it's the top 3 get to move up into this series next time it comes round. So there's always that chance that there'll be some new faces in the Pro Championship next time round who might just upset the apple cart, and it may not be the regulars at the front.
Yeah, definitely. I can confirm that it is the top 10 in the AMs will win prizes as well, exactly following the same prizes as this series, with the added bonus of getting the promotion to the Pro Series for the following rounds. So all to play for. So if you fancy obviously getting out on track in these GT3 cars, then head over to apexracingleague.com to sign up for the championship, which will replace this series next Tuesday. So you can see a round 1 opener next Tuesdays of the GT Pro Am Challenge here on Apex Racing TV. So head over to there and sign up. If GT3s are not quite your car, there's many other cars over on Apex Racing TV that we do. So on Monday nights at the moment, we've just done round 2 of the new season 3 of the Mazda Cups. Obviously Tuesday we've got the brand new AM series starting up at the GT3s next week. Then on Wednesday we have the last couple of rounds of the Radical Championship. Thursday we got the brand new NASCAR Championship. I think it's the B car that's in that one. Friday we have the Porsche 922 Championship that's heated up quite nicely in that battle, so going around to round number 4 this week. On Saturday we have the Formula Renault going on, so yeah, plenty to go on, and if you fancy doing that, then have a look, as we currently watch Leon Penn overtaking Michael Palic for 6th place. So great on Leon Penn, is certainly fighting back from his disastrous spin there from 4th place.
Yeah, I wasn't sure where Leon Penn was going when he spun off. He could have ended up in New Zealand for the distance you can travel around the circuit. I'm quite upset you didn't mention of a special guest in the Amateur Championship, to be fair. You know,
Well,
he's a great person to race in there.
I was leaving that up to you, mate. You know, I might come on the commentary team and big you up and
Oh,
and
don't
follow
do
you
that. I'm going to be
intently.
11th. As we can see, Kieran Smart off the track. Now, he shouldn't lose position at this time. No, he gets back on. But obviously, that 10th place in the championship is currently, I will just check, because on count back of results, it would go to Kieran Smart as an 8th and an 11th for Dominic Engel. That would be 9th here today. So Kieran Smart will get it by 1 position, but Dominic Engel is closing in on Chris Beats at the moment, so we'll keep with this 3rd place battle for now, but that's something that could come into play near the end of the day. A lot of movement by Hakan Gribstead trying to break that toe, but Bogdan Moldovan won't make it through into turn 1. Out of sight, Sven Newman now has the gap down to 7/10 of a second at the front and has been closing that down over the last 5 minutes or so. It was out at about 2 seconds at one point. So the champion wanting to go out with, the champion-elect wanting to go out with a victory and closing down the gap to John Derrick at this time.
Yeah, definitely. We've got some real good battles on track, 1st and 2nd, and currently watching the battle for 3rd and 4th here with Gribstad and Moldovan, who have been sort of joined together by a bungee cord for the last 10 minutes. You know, we did see an excellent move from Grimstad to get Bogdan Moldovan to get that 3rd place back. But Moldovan's certainly not letting him get away, and it's not going to take a lot. And if he can stay this close, coming down that start-finish straight, you know, he's got a good opportunity to make that pass down into the 1st corner. So getting right onto the back of Gribstad here is Bogdan Moldovan, our current 2nd place in the championship overall, and really wanting that last position as we switch over to the front of the grid with Sir Newman now closing up only 0.6 of a second behind John Derrick.
Yeah, it shows the hunger of a champion-elect. He wants to go out on the win, close that gap quite by a couple of attempts, half a second on lap 33. John Derrick maybe thought he was in a little bit of cruise mode, but over last 8 minutes, Sven Newman is not going to let him have that one bit, as the gap is now down to half a second, and Sven Newman has his lights ablaze, and I won't be surprised to see them start flashing soon, as Chitu has headed to the pit lane, and hopefully that will not be to retire, and he will try and finish for the last 8 minutes. Yes, he's on pit exit now, so he just maybe felt like he had to pit. Oh, actually, it's come up with pit again, so we'll see what happens there. But back to the front, John Derrick making sure that there's no gaps for Sven Newman to get through at this stage, and I think they will be closing in. I think I saw a flash of another driver at some point, so hopefully no traffic should come up. It doesn't look like it will. Back to 3rd place, and Moldovan is still all over Gribstad.
Yeah, definitely. And before this battle really hits up, just a quick shout out to one of our other sponsors, Apex Racing Academy. They have 29 data packs that include setups, track guides. It's fully integrated with the VRS system, so get the both of them and they will talk to each other on track. Weekly group coaching sessions, plus many more. Just head over to apexracingac.com to choose a package from that. And obviously, like I said, get the VRS and you'll have the complete iRacing package for improving yourself on track. As we get back to this action here on track in the last 6 minutes of this final round, and we have John Derrick with Sven Newman literally 0.4, 0.5 of a second, and I think maybe the tyres are starting to come into a little bit of play, because it seemed that John Derrick at the start of the race was pushing really hard to make sure he kept with Sven, and maybe Sven now trying to save a little bit of his tyres is now coming back into the fray, and his tyres are a little bit better than John Derrick's out in 1st place. So an interesting last 6 minutes of this race.
Yeah, that's very true. It could be that sort of position in terms of the tyres. John Derrick taking a few wider lines, trying not to put the pressure on the tyres. Maybe he did feel like they overheated a little bit, and he's pegged the gap on this last lap. It's back up to about 7/10 of a second. So at the moment, I'd say he's controlling it, but obviously the slipstream's so large down the straight that Sven Newman will close that gap. You could just see the numbers falling away there in the slipstream. And if Newman gets a sniff of it, these BMWs are quick in a straight line. But we'll just have to see how that goes, because will Sven Newman want to risk something? He can't risk a DNF. That's one thing he can't do.
But we do know the racer in him will want to get that podium finish, and like Dave was saying, the champion-elect would like to go out on a high and win the last race, but John Derrick is certainly not making him easy for him, and this is the other big battle on track currently for third place. Gribstad managing to keep Moldovan at arm's length at the moment, but Moldovan itching to get that last podium place and get that third place on the grid for this round of the championship. So these nice little pockets of battle between first and second and third and fourth is going all the way down to the wire in this round.
Yeah, further back you can see on the timing graphic, Winkler, Penn, Powlich, all with like 2-second gaps between them. There's 3 seconds between Penn and Powlich. Beats another second back. Engel another 3 seconds back. So that group all just very close together. And one mistake from any of these will allow somebody like Dominic Engel to move up to he's already on a season's best result, but could be just that little bit higher at this rate. But here into the final corner goes Hakan Gribstad. He has Moldovan right behind him, 0.5 of a second, so he's right in the slipstream. Similar position to the leaders, but not quite close enough this time. He gets it closed down, but like Sven Newman, by the time he gets to turn 1, it's just a little bit too far back.
Pretty sure you'll be able to tell me this is the best finishing position at the moment, Gribstad, if he finishes where he finishes at the moment?
Yeah, it will be for Gribstad. His best is a 4th in round 5, and that's the only top 6 he's had all year to be. Oh no, he finished second last time out. Sorry.
Did he? So his last 2 rounds have been really good. So
yeah,
you know, not his best position, but nearly his best position. But
apologies, Hakon, I missed that one.
I'm pretty sure he'd be happy with this. You know, battling really hard with Bogdan Moldovan there in 4th place. You know, you always get immense satisfaction in these races when you've had a real close battle and you manage to come out on top by the end. You know, it may not be for the highest place you finish, but you certainly feel a sense of achievement when that happens on this race. So pretty much I bet his palms are a little bit sweaty. As we know, Bogdan is likes to get a little bit of a sweat on in these races, so pretty sure these 2 guys here will be feeling the pressure in their rigs coming into the final stages of this round at the moment. John Derrick seems to be pulling out a little bit of a gap on Sven Newman at the front, so it's gone up to 0.7. Still not, you know, a significant gap, but all the same, he seems to have put his foot down again and stretched that lead out, which was down to 0.4. But this battle at the moment is just raging between 3rd and 4th as we join back with the leader, who's Spencer. He's come down now to 0.3 of a second, so obviously used his nitrous flashy light button and managed to get up to 0.2 of a second, so right now on the back of John Derrick. So John Derrick will be feeling a lot of pressure and be seeing that BMW in his mirrors.
I don't know if this is tyres. We look back at the last round at Road America and look why Hakan Gribstad finished second. John Derrick ran out of fuel on the run to the line and dropped down to 4th place. So I think it was John Derrick anyway.
Yeah,
so
was, yeah.
From second. So is this John Derrick slightly short fueled again? That's why he had his big gap. And now having to fuel save in his last few minutes to get to the end. I'm only hypothesizing. So, but maybe that's the case, and this is why on certain positions of the track he's slowing down without using the brakes, and that's why Newman is closing up so quickly, because Derrick knows that those are parts of the track that Newman can't pass on.
Yeah, I wholeheartedly don't hopefully it's happened 2 rounds in a row that John Derrick's underfueled himself. Be disastrous considering he's had an excellent round here, as we see Gribstad swerving all over the start finish just to try to break that slipstream for Bogdan Moldovan there in 4th place, and Bogdan just sticking to him like glue at the moment. Obviously that bungee cord still very much intact, and I think it's going to go down to the very last lap, and I believe this is the actual last lap of the race.
Yeah, It looks like it from the timing, but the gap's stretched out now, so it looks like Moldovan might have to settle for 4th place. As we look back at the leaders, Newman's still pushing hard to get John Derrick to make that mistake to let him through, but Derrick is having none of it. He's driven a brilliant race so far, carved through to 2nd place as Leon Penn makes his way past Carl Winkler for 5th place, so he's back into the top 5 after. Oh, Winkler had gone off, so Winkler back on into 6th though, well ahead of Michael Powlich.
Yeah, no, great recovery drive there from Leon Penn, getting himself back up to 5th place after his spin with the battle with Grimstad for 3rd place. So a great recovery drive there from Leon Penn to manage to get into 5th. But what we're doing now is watching this battle on track as we're coming around the last couple of corners here. John Derrick could take his 1st race win, I think. Or is it his 2nd?
Second.
But his 2nd race win. A great race there to keep Sven Newman at bay. So John Derrick takes the race win with Sven Newman coming in 2nd, and in epic battle for 3rd, Grimstad making his not best position of the championship, as Dave said, but also and Leon Penn getting extremely wide, doing a bit of grass cutting there over the last corner. So luckily managing to keep it on track and had enough space. And Michael Powlich taking Carl Winkler there on the line for 6th place. So a last-ditch effort there for Michael Powlich to take him. Obviously, Carl Winkler had a bit of damage, it looked like, from his off that seriously affected him there. Chris Beats coming home in 8th place. Dominic Engel in 9th. Hereford in 10th. Kieran Smart just coming around the last couple of corners to take 11th place. And, great outing from Metallica in 12th place. Still keeping in there and getting it race done. So we'll score the points for 12th place. And we have Adam Brown and Emil Garcia are the only 2 retirements out of this round. So excellent bit of racing. Even though we had a small grid there, Dave, there were so many close battles on track.
Yeah, it just shows how close a racing can be with even just a small amount of drivers. But now it's time to get the maths done and find out who, hopefully, will be our champion from this series. It's been a great championship all round, and we've had some really clean battles throughout the year. And I think Sven Newman will be the champion. I've got to do the maths quickly, but it looks like Newman will be the champion, and that means, I think it's deserved. He's had different challenges every race, pretty much, but he's always been there or thereabouts.
So whilst you're hypothesising and calculating all the permutations of the points for us, I'll have a quick chat with one of the drivers. So let's get our race winner for that race in, John Derrick. Hi John, and welcome to the commentary booth. What an excellent last round that was for yourself, and managing to get past Sven and managing to keep it out there. So how was that for you, mate?
Yeah, it was really fun into the season. I mean, start of the race, I was a little bit off pace behind Sven, but then changed a couple of in-car settings and went, I've actually got some traction at the corners now. And then I think Sven was, playing the safe game. I mean, like, he knows, his championship battle's not with me and just play it safe. I think he just let me past. And then towards the end, he just caught up a bit because I had a bit of a run-in with a back marker just at the wrong place. But really enjoyable track. So really fun way to end the season.
Yeah, definitely. We were, I think Dave was hypothesizing that you might have done a Road America again and sort of miscalculated your fuel going over. We were just hopefully saying, no, please don't be that. That would be just terrible to be done. But luckily,
it was definitely a thought in the back of my mind. I mean, last week I took a bit of a risk trying to catch up to Bogdan because we lost so much at the start. So I was like, I'll underfuel a bit and just didn't save enough in time. But really happy to end the season like that.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, obviously, you could have got that second place in Road America, finished in 4th. Obviously, your second podium of the season. How has this first season of the GT Pro been for yourself?
I mean, I've really enjoyed it. It's been fun to have something to work towards every week. It didn't start the best at Daytona, a bit of a spin out and everything when I think I could have, maybe contended more for the championship at the top. But I think overall, I've really, really enjoyed it. It's been good fun. Nice, something to work towards every week, like I say, yeah.
Yeah, definitely. And I think, I don't know if you've done the points, Dave. Does that mean John takes 3rd place in the championship overall?
Yes, he does.
He does. So
Fantastic.
congratulations there, John. For
Got third. That's all. That's all that matters.
Sorry to put a bit of a downer on third, though. You were only 7 points off Bogdan.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, last week, that's what it is. Well, I think it's not been like you could say last race was the mistake that cost me second, but I think it's been a seasons of some mistake or some point going wrong. So I think it's been good to at least try and contend for a bit higher. But I can look back and see a few mistakes that might have cost me that. But yeah, it's nice that it's close in the end. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll get away from Downer Dave there and just concentrate on the fact that you actually got third place on the championship overall. I mean, was that where you were hoping to see yourself in the championship?
Yeah, I mean, definitely. I think coming into this, after the first week, I was like, top 5 would be good. But I think that sort of put me on the back foot at the start because it was basically my drop week, so had to work a little bit harder. But yeah, really happy with top 3. Especially, yeah.
I mean, that's a great end to the season, getting the last victory at the last round, and obviously topping it off with a provisional top 3 in finish in the championship. So overall, a great day's work for you, John. Is there anybody you'd like to give a shout out to before we let you go?
Oh, loads of people. So I picked up streaming when I did this. I was like, I'll stream it on Tuesday evening. So thanks for everyone in the chat for watching along and providing me support. And then some of the people over at PGZ Motorsports as well. They were really helpful. Akaro Dampers, one of our sponsors, and a couple of other people as well. I've really enjoyed it, guys. And thanks for the broadcast to you as well, and also the stewards and everyone for organising it as well. No, it's not the most fun thing at sometimes, but I really appreciate all your work on it. It's been really good fun.
It's been great having you in the championship, Don, and hopefully we'll see you next time out when we do another pro championship to get that first place off Sven.
Yeah, thanks very much, fam. Thanks, guys.
There was John Derrick there, our race winner for this last round of the GT Trophy Pro. And I think we've got Habon Gribstad in the waiting room for you, Dave, to have a chat with after his excellent showing here in the last round.
Yeah, Hakon, another podium. Congratulations. And what a battle it was between you, Bogdan, and Leon at times. Do you want to talk us through that?
Yeah. What a race! I'm knackered after that. That was tough. Yeah, me and Penn came together there. I'm not sure who's to blame, but I think we both wanted the same piece of tarmac, and unfortunately that sent him wide. But yeah, what a battle with Bogdan at the end there. I really had to push all I had to keep him behind.
Yeah, it certainly looked like a close battle, and to be fair, from our view, it just, like you said, I think both drivers just went for the same piece of tarmac. But that is a second podium in a row for you, and it's left you, I think, 7th in the championship. So is that sort of where you hoped to be, or did you want to be higher this year, or did you not really have any targets?
Well, I didn't really have any targets. I was hoping for a top 10, so I guess I achieved that. And, always want to go as high as possible, right?
Yeah. Well, you were 8 points off Chris Beats in the end for 6th, so you weren't too far behind either. And that was certainly helped by that run at the end of the season you've had. You've certainly found some form there.
Yeah, I have been getting a little better in the GT3s throughout the season for sure, but there's also been a bit of drop off with participation, sadly. So that might have gained me a few positions as well, but we won't know, will we?
You can only race what's in front of you. Will we see you back going for that top 10, maybe that top 6 next time the Pro Championship comes around?
Perhaps. We'll have to see when the time comes.
And last of all, is there anybody you want to give a shout out to?
Well, I got to give a shout out to my fellow Norwegian and co-driver and teammate Øystein Hafjell, and the other guys cheering me on the Discord.
Okay, and thank you very much, and congratulations on your podium.
Thanks a lot.
So go on.
No, I said, and if by magic we've actually got Sven Newman in the waiting area. So without further ado, let's get our champion elect into the commentary booth. So thank you very much for joining us, Sven. I mean, what a season you've had! It started off really well, and you've just been Mr. Consistent throughout.
Yeah, it was a really good season this time. Only missed one race. So yeah, the other races were really good. Always consistent results, and yeah, I'm really happy with it.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I think you were never out of the sort of top 4 within the championship. And at the start of the championship, you were having really heated battles with Bogdan Moldovan, which made for some very entertaining races going in there. Slightly slipped off the mid-season, but then came back strong. But, can't take it away from yourself. You've been Mr. Consistent throughout the whole championship and probably well-deserved the championship in the end. Obviously, the race tonight, John Derrick kept it honest for you at the start of the race, constantly behind you. Did you actually let him pass, as John said that you probably did, or were you trying to fight him to get that last podium win for the last round of the season?
Yeah, I let him pass. I don't want to fight because it was all for the championship, and I don't want to risk anything. So.
No, definitely. I mean, thank you extremely much for coming into the commentary booth and giving us your words of wisdom. I mean, how have you enjoyed this first season of the GT Pro Championship?
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. I think we had some great racing, also some bad incidents, but these things happen.
Yeah, I think that's racing at the end of the day, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. So yeah, it was a really fun season. I had a lot of fun also with my teammates, and yeah.
So not only are you champion elect, I do believe that Core Sim Racing won the team championship as well. I'm sure Dave will tell me if I'm wrong. So you've not only at the moment champion elect for the inaugural season of the GT Pro, your team has actually won the championship as well. So a good day at the office for yourself and Core Sim Racing 1.
Yeah, definitely. It was a really good season from the whole team, and we started really good and kept the pressure on. So thanks to everyone in the team. It was a really good season.
So obviously from our champion elect, would you like to give a shout out to anybody before we let you go?
Yeah, obviously to the whole team. I had a lot of fun practicing. To you guys for the great commentary, and yeah, to everyone involved in the series. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, definitely. So congratulations on provisional championship winner and for your team as well. So hopefully look forward to seeing you defending your championship title in the next season.
Yeah, we will see if I have enough time, but thank you very much.
Thank you, Sven. Thank you for joining us. There was Sven Newman there, our champion-elect at the moment, barring any penalties from this final round, but seemed to have a pretty clean round, so pretty all in all, I think he probably has got it sealed there, Dave, but, overall, the whole season has been brilliant. We've had some really close racing and some heated battles out on track.
Yeah, it looks like he has sealed it. The driver who was never outside the top 4 in the races, never mind the championship. So it's just ridiculous consistency by Sven Newman. But it just shows the competitiveness of this championship. I was saying that John Derrick, it was close to getting past Bogdan, but actually there's 3 drivers in this series who got 2 wins. And then 3 others who got 1 win each. So it just shows that the wins were shared out, the podiums were shared out. I think Sven's the only person with sort of 7 podiums in 9 races, or 6 podiums, and that's the most of any driver we've got on the field. So it's amazing consistency, but a great championship.
Yeah, I mean, it's coming to the end now of the GT Pro. It's a bit of a sad moment of it. I've really enjoyed having you alongside me here, Dave. What's been your memorable moments, casting your mind back, if you can, of this championship?
Oh, that's a tough one. I think possibly mid-season where we had people like Brandon Tabone and John Derrick move up into that championship fight, because it looked like it was going to be Newman and Moldovan, and then we've had drivers progressively get better. Govencu also got involved there, so that's been the highlight for me, that it wasn't just two drivers going at it at the top, we had everybody move forward.
Yeah, and also obviously from this round we've had people moving up probably into the 10th place where they probably didn't think they're getting, because obviously the grid was quite small tonight, but it certainly didn't pay for the entertainment. So obviously next Tuesday we have the new start of the GT series, and as you're going to take part, Dave, give us a little bit of your expectations of where you would like to be in that.
Well, I've seen there's already 24 drivers signed up before I even signed up myself, so that shows how many people are interested in the series. I'm just going into it to have fun. I mean, I'll say that now. When I go into it next week, it'll be all different, but it'd be great just to see how I can compete. I haven't done a sort of an iRacing championship like this before, so it'll be good to see, and I hope it's just as competitive as this Pro Series has been. Obviously, it may be a few more mistakes by drivers because they're not the professional, they're not the the lower than 2,500 I rating, which shows that I am as well. Before anybody jumps on that one, but yeah, it's going to be really interesting to see how that racing in that compares to the Pro Series, and I think it won't be too much different. I think there'll be a lot of healthy respect there, and we'll just see how we get on after the first round.
Yeah, definitely. Well, good luck for that one. So have you got any final words of wisdom or anything about this championship you've been alongside me commentating on, mate?
It's been a great series and well-deserved win for Sven Newman, and I think everybody who's got into the top 10, even though we've had a small grid here today, has worked hard and deserved the result they've got. So actually, just a quick word to Kieran Smart, who just nips into the top 10 and will receive his prize from Apex Racing.
It's never give up till it gives up. But thank you very much for joining us. Joining me, Dave, in the Commentary Brothers. It's been a pleasure. Just a final shout out to our three main sponsors for this championship: Virtual Racing School, SDK Gaming, and Apex Racing Academy, for their kind generosity to giving out the prizes for the top 10 in the championship and the top 3 teams within the championship. So that brings us to an end of the Apex Racing League GT Trophy Pro season. Sven Newman is our champion-elect at the moment, so, and obviously Simcore Racing 1 win the team championship. So thank you very much for joining us here on Apex Racing TV. Please, if you like the stream, then give us a thumbs up. Think about subscribing, and you'll get notifications for all our events here on Apex Racing TV. So head over to apexracingtv.com/schedule to find out everything that's going on here. Also, you can visit us on our media pages: Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Just look for the name Apex Racing TV. So for myself, Andy Thompson, from Dave Whitehouse alongside me, and Dennis Branch up in the production box, we bid you farewell and look forward to seeing in the new season of the AMS at the same time next Tuesday. Good night.
Virtual Racing School was developed to provide support to the next generation of sim racers. No matter if you're a rookie or veteran or what car or track you'll be racing, our goal is to provide training every step of the way. We found that iRacing can be quite difficult without proper training. There needed to be a way to prepare for on-track racing. With VRS, you can literally learn from the best sim racers in the world, including 4-time NASCAR iRacing World Champion Ray Alfalla.
And Ray Alfalla is a 4-time champion of the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze iRacing Series.
3-time iRacing Grand Prix World Champion Martin Kroenke.
Martin Kroenke becomes a 3-time world champion.
Rallycross World Champion Mitchell de Jong.
Mitchell de Jong is now champion for the iRacing Rallycross World Championship Series.
And many other top sim racers. Data packs include everything you need to start learning. Our World Championship coaches create the data packs by setting a hot lap or a series of fast laps for you to compare, analyze, and replicate. Data packs also include a tutorial where the coach points out techniques they use to hit the fast lap. This gives you access to the latest driving techniques and setups before you even hit the track. Sign up for a free account and download the VRS telemetry logger. With this application running seamlessly in the background, your laps automatically start syncing to the VRS website. From there, you can analyze and compare 2 laps of your choice, whether it's your data, the coaches, or your teammates. VRS will automatically target improvement opportunities so you can get up to speed even faster. VRS also makes it easy for you to request and schedule one-on-one or group coaching sessions. These sessions can range from 30 to 90 minutes, and you can select the car, track, and setup combination of your choice. Visit virtualracingschool.com today to sign up and get started.